For decades, stopping the spread of weapons of mass destruction was a game played between just a few powerful nations. But today, the rules have completely changed. The board is bigger, the players are way more numerous and often anonymous, and the pieces themselves, they're disguised. So how do you play on this new board? Well, that's what we're here to figure out. This question, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the modern challenge. The very same technology that can save lives in a hospital, a bioreactor, for example, can also be used to create terrifying biological agents. This is the whole dilemma of dual-use technology, and it's what makes counterproliferation one of the most complex and, frankly, scary security puzzles of our time. So to get our heads around this, we're first going to unpack how the world has fundamentally shifted. Then we'll dive into the tangled web of globalization and the really tough challenges it presents. We'll also look ahead at the threats on the horizon, and we'll finish up by asking a critical question. How does intelligence itself have to evolve to keep us safe? Right, so how did we get here? How did we go from a world of just two superpowers to this complex maze? The answer really lies in the dramatic shift away from the Cold War's relative predictability and into today's, chaotic global landscape. Just look at the scale of this transformation. We've shifted from a world with a couple hundred key players in these very formal alliances to one with hundreds of thousands of actors. And we're talking about everyone from multinational corporations to small extremist groups, all forming these temporary, shifting teams. This means power isn't concentrated at the top anymore. It's spread out all over the place, making it incredibly difficult to track who is doing what and why. And here's the crucial point. The state is no longer the star of the show. Intelligence agencies can't just focus on a handful of rival nations anymore. Now they have to monitor this vast, interconnected network of non-state groups that are super agile, well-funded, and can operate seamlessly across borders that have become, increasingly easy to cross. Okay, so this new global complexity creates a massive puzzle for anyone trying to stop the spread of WMDs. Globalization has connected the world in some amazing ways, sure, but it's also created these perfect hidden pathways for dangerous technologies to travel completely undetected. And the numbers, they paint a pretty stark picture. As we speak, intelligence agencies believe that up to 30 countries have the know-how to develop weapons of mass destruction. This isn't just a regional issue anymore, it's a global network of potential threats. Here it is, the absolute core of the problem: dual-use technology. Think about something like high-grade fertilizer. It's essential for modern agriculture, for feeding the world, right? But it's also a key ingredient for making powerful explosives. The technology itself is neutral. It's the intent of the person using it that matters. And that intent, it's incredibly hard to figure out. And this isn't just some theoretical risk. We've seen it play out. Take Iraq, for example. They assembled their WMD program piece by piece, using this whole web of front companies to buy legitimate, dual-use equipment from suppliers all over the globe. They just pretended they were building factories or hospitals. It's that simple. So as you can imagine, this incredibly complex environment creates a series of really daunting challenges for the intelligence agencies trying to keep us safe. Let's break down the 5 biggest hurdles they're up against right now. The thing is, these obstacles are all connected. First, you've got the dual-use problem we keep talking about. Then you have global supply chains that are just a tangled mess, with parts coming from dozens of countries, making them almost impossible to track. On top of that, there's this constant battle between economic interests, which want open trade, and security interests, which demand control. And to make it even harder, there's no global agreement on who the real threats even are. And finally, the international rules designed to stop all this, they're often weak and full of loopholes, making them pretty easy to get around. And as if today's challenges weren't enough, things are about to get even more complicated. There are several emerging trends that are set to seriously accelerate the threat of proliferation in the very near future. The pace of technological change is just staggering. Advances in biotech, for example, could soon put the power to create a designer virus in the hands of a small group with a basic lab. At the same time, the internet provides a global library of how-to guides for building these weapons. So you end up with this situation where brand new cutting-edge threats are emerging, while the old-school, reliable dual-use tech is still floating around and widely available. It's the worst of both worlds. So when you're faced with this incredibly complex and constantly evolving threat, the old intelligence playbook, it's just obsolete. To have any chance of being effective in this new era, intelligence services have to fundamentally rethink their role and their methods from the ground up. This new playbook is all about collaboration and vigilance. Intelligence agencies need to leverage things like AI and big data analytics to spot suspicious patterns in global trade. But here's the key: they absolutely cannot do it alone. This means teaming up with everyone, from foreign allies to their own government's commerce departments. A huge piece of this is working with private companies, training them to be the first line of defense against espionage. And maybe the biggest challenge of all is controlling the invisible threat, the blueprints and the know-how that can be emailed across the world in an instant. And this leads us to the final, really unsettling question. In a globalized world that's built on open borders and open access to information, the very things that drive our progress, well, those things also make us incredibly vulnerable. The challenge isn't just about finding a needle in a haystack anymore. It's about living in a world where pretty much anyone can build their own needle. So, can this dangerous game ever truly be won?